time for overtime.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
In the world of sports, it's all about the playmakers in today's headlines, from locals to the pros, with interviews from local standouts and sports all-stars across the country that will have you talking.
Head of the pack, all the way in, slam, dunk, wow.
Hear from coaches to players, sports analysts, and broadcasters who are a part of the action every day. Overtime, now with Bert Rameen on ESPN 102.3 AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
Right back with you. It is hour number 2. Yes, if you're just tuning us in, we started early today. Reason being, the Minnesota Twins are starting early. They're underway at 12:05 in Milwaukee. Pre-game coverage is at 11:30 right here on ESPN Sioux Falls. Twins baseball all season long right here on ESPN 102.3 AM 1000 KSOO. We're going to be off the air about 5 minutes before the bottom of the hour, 11:25. Before then, we got you covered with the identity crisis. Opportunity to win each and every Wednesday on the show. You got to tell me what sports figure, past or present, I'm talking about. Those of you listening since the jump already got your courtesy clue. So, yes, you're at an advantage. 605-362-3776, the number to call when the time comes for the identity crisis, coming up in about 15-20 minutes at the latest. But let's dive into your scorecard. NHL Finals from yesterday. Islanders over the Blackhawks 2-1 yesterday. Boston blanks Nashville on the road 3-0. And the Minnesota Wild keep on coming. Big win last night for their playoff chances as they pick up the win against Ottawa at home.
Mason Shaw trying to knife it for a king. Open in front. Lettieri scores! Vinny Lettieri on the backhand with 6:56 to go has given the Wild a 3-2 lead.
Wild would hang on for the 3-2 victory. Audio there courtesy of K-Fan. 36-28-10, the new record for Minnesota. And at present, Minnesota still chasing St. Louis and still chasing Nashville, Winnipeg, Vegas, Edmonton, and the LA Kings. Minnesota has 81 points. The St. Louis Blues have 84, Vegas 92, LA Kings 87. It's really Nashville, the Kings, the Wild, the Blues, and the Predators remaining in terms of teams that are in the mix for those final 2 wild card spots. One of those spots is pretty much going to be guaranteed to the highest point total team, and right now that's Winnipeg with 96, but you've got the Vegas Golden Knights with 92, Nashville with 90, the Blues with 84, and the Minnesota Wild hanging around with 81 points right now, still in playoff contention, and it helps immensely that they got a win last night, and Nashville lost last night as far as their playoff chances go. Vancouver and Vegas. Vegas did the Wild no favors last night, taking care of business against the Canucks 6-3, 42-25-8. The new record for the Golden Knights tonight in the NHL. Devils at Rangers, 6 o'clock on TNT. Oilers at Stars, 8:30 on ESPN+. Also an 8:30 start TNT, the coverage. Kraken visit the Kings. You should be rooting for Seattle if you're looking forward to seeing the Minnesota Wild potentially in the playoffs. Kraken at Kings, 8:30 on TNT. NBA Finals, Lakers win in Toronto last night, 128-111. Milwaukee lost to Washington. That's right, they lost to Washington, 117-113. New record for the Bucks, 47-28. That is win number 15. 15 on the season for the Wizards. OKC lost last night to Philly. The return of Joel Embiid went well for the Sixers.
Lowry across midcourt, hands off to Oubre. They're going to play middle pick and roll with Embiid. Oubre bounces to Joel. Joel from 14 straight away. Bucket, it's good. Tie game, 101-101.
Wasn't a massive game for Joel Embiid, but it didn't need to be in his return. 24 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists as Philly beats OKC at home, 109-105. New records there, 41-35 for the Sixers. OKC stumbles to 52-23. Audio there, 97.5 the Fanatic out of Philly. Elsewhere, Minnesota got a win that they needed and should have had anyway at home, 113-106 over Houston. A team that's been pretty hot has cooled off, and the Timberwolves take advantage.
Jaden baseline drive, hang, kick to the corner, it's Conley. Up top, Naz Reid almost got stripped. Here's Ant with it. Ant takes a run by Brooks in the paint. Oh! Rises and hammers! A two-handed flush for Anthony Edwards!
Another big dunk there for Edwards. Naz Reid, 25 points. Minnesota equal record to OKC after last night's action, 52-23. Both those teams just a half game back of the Western Conference leading Denver Nuggets.
Joker now against Wemby, one-on-one. Gets in the paint, little hook shot. Good! 105 to 103 Denver.
Before we go any further, I promised you guys an update on Stephon Diggs' compensation when it's available. The Texans are getting, quickly as we interrupt the scorecard, and it just went off the screen. I'll get that pulled up for you in just a second. As far as compensation goes on that trade, McAfee had it up for just a second. I'll get that compensation on the Stephon Diggs trade here in just a moment. But again, Stephon Diggs traded from the Bills to the Houston Texans. Several draft picks involved, not just a second-round pick next year. We'll get that for you here shortly. As we move forward, men's basketball, NC State and Purdue, 5 o'clock on TBS on Saturday for the start of the men's Final Four. The biggest personality in this men's tournament, without a doubt, DJ Burns of NC State. Phenomenal big, phenomenal player. He says, thanks to the fans for the big support this year.
Honestly, for us, it hasn't changed. You know, we've been consistent throughout, but we're glad that everyone else is joining now. And as far as the State fans, you know, sorry for the wait. We wanted to bring that back to them because, you know, they've been going, you know, through for a little bit, and we just wanted to make sure that we bring the culture back around.
DJ Burns and NC State men's basketball takes on Purdue in Game 1 of the Final Four, 5 o'clock on TBS on Saturday. Game 2, Bama and UConn, 7:45, also on TBS. Women's basketball, Final Four begins on Friday from Cleveland. NC State, South Carolina, 6 o'clock. UConn and Iowa, 8 o'clock. Both those games on ESPN. Michelle Smallman of Unsportsmanlike on ESPN Radio says that Clark's greatness will translate to and boost the WNBA next year.
I would not be surprised if we see a massive growth in WNBA numbers because of her presence and potentially Angel Reese, some of these other stars that we've come accustomed to knowing about and following. I would not be surprised if we see the Caitlin Clark effect really take hold in the WNBA and we see exponential growth there next season.
Co-sign on that, and I'm excited for the WNBA moving forward. Their future set to grow in the wake of the collegiate women's game going through the roof. Record number of viewers just on Monday night for the Elite Eight matchup between LSU and the Iowa Hawkeyes. Major League Baseball, another day, another loss for the Colorado Rockies. Tough start for their season, but the Cubs take advantage. 12-2. They pour it on the Rockies. Cody Bellinger hits one deep.
And now the 1-2 pitch on the way to Cody Bellinger. Hit high in the air. Deep right field. Get out the tape measure. Long gone. Off the scoreboard. And Cody Bellinger with his first home run of the year.
Bellinger blasts that one deep, 12-2 the final. Cubbies are 3-2. Minnesota fell to 2-2 yesterday. Louis Varland took the loss to Milwaukee. 4-0 start for the Brewers, 3-2 the final yesterday. Other finals from Major League Baseball yesterday. Kansas City beat up on Baltimore 4-1. White Sox win at home against Atlanta 3-2. First win of the season for Chicago. Cleveland wins in Seattle 5-2. And St. Louis gets a win over San Diego 5-2 as well. New record for the Cardinals, 3-3. Today and tonight in Major League Baseball, Twins at Brewers, 11:30 pregame, 12:05 the first pitch time. Royals are in Baltimore to duke it out with the Orioles again, same time, 12:05. Braves at White Sox, 1:10. Other games this afternoon and evening, Guardians at Mariners, Cardinals at Padres, Tigers at Mets, Rockies at Cubs. That last one, a 6:40 start time. Big NFL news of the day. Stephon Diggs is being traded from the Buffalo Bills to the Houston Texans, set to join his third team in his NFL career. 31-year-old wide receiver had been disgruntled reportedly in the recent past with Buffalo, and now he's got a new home with a premier rising team in the Houston Texans. Here's the compensation update, by the way. We knew that the Bills were receiving a second-round pick next season from the Houston Texans, and that pick is the pick that the Minnesota Vikings just sent to Houston in exchange for the first-round pick this year, among other picks. That pick now that used to belong to Minnesota now goes to Buffalo, 2025, not this year, but next year, 2025 second-round pick. But the Texans aren't just getting Stephon Diggs. They're getting a sixth-round pick this year and a fifth-round pick next year. So Stephon Diggs, big contract, big personality. He comes down to Houston, and Houston will pay the salary. They'll get the player, which is absolutely phenomenal when he's at his best. And they also get two picks in addition to giving up just a second-round pick that they didn't even have. A couple weeks ago, Houston already parted ways with the second-rounder that they got in that exchange with Minnesota to acquire Stephon Diggs. That offense, that wide receiver core already in the top 10, top 5 of the NFL with the addition of Diggs. Pretty good stuff, pretty scary stuff if you're another AFC team being assembled down in Houston. Now let's dive into your Reliabank headlines of the day. Former Lawrence High School basketball standout Zeke Mayo of South Dakota State averaged 19 points per game this year, 18 points per game last year, has announced his plans to transfer to Kansas. 6'4", 185-pound junior combo guard, reigning Summit League Player of the Year, revealed his choice on Twitter today. According to the Kansas City Star, chose the Jayhawks over Creighton, Oklahoma, and Texas. And last Tuesday, Mayo announced his plans to enter his name in both the draft and the portal. He's got a new home already. Congratulations to Zeke Mayo, lifelong fan out of me and many that wear the blue here in this state. For the Jackrabbits, phenomenal player. Of course, you'd rather see you retain the talent, but when you're in this day and age, you want people to utilize the transfer portal for what is best for them. And Zeke Mayo going back home, premier program down there in Lawrence. I'm going to be rooting for Zeke Mayo moving forward because that dude has earned it. Phenomenal player, phenomenal person. Wish him and Will Kyle III all the best moving forward following their transfer from South Dakota State. The Sioux Falls Skyforce have announced that the organization will play host to the NBA G League playoffs presented by Google Pixel coming up on Friday after the team finished with a 22-12 regular season mark, the second seed in the Western Conference, and their back-to-back playoff appearances for the first time since 2016. Tip-off for the Western Conference semis is slated for 8 o'clock Central Time on Friday night. Doors open at 7, and the matchup will play the winner of Oklahoma City and Rio Grande Valley. We'll check exactly who moved on there in the G League playoffs, but the Sioux Falls Skyforce are playing either the winner, OKC and Rio Grande Valley. That's coming up on Friday. Tickets available, sfskyforce.com, as low as $5, $10, $15, depending upon the section at the Sanford Pentagon. One of the top-rated cornerbacks in this year's draft class set to get on the field in front of scouts next week. That's Iowa's Cooper DeJean, recovering from a broken leg. Missed some of the other offseason opportunities to show his stuff, and now he'll have the opportunity to do that in front of scouts at his university, Iowa, and Iowa City on April the 8th. DeJean's workout expected to include all on-field testing and positional drills moving forward. DeJean, at times, you'd seen him as a top 10 pick, top 15, top 20. Lately, he's a surefire first-round pick still, but maybe seeing a little bit of a slide. We'll wait and see. Incredible football player, and not only a cornerback, a nickel corner, a guy that can press man at the line of scrimmage, get physical, make some tackles. He's also a really good special teamer, return specialist, punt returner, do-it-all kind of guy in Iowa high school football. Did the same in Iowa collegiately, and now on to the NFL, and will show his stuff on April the 8th at a workout in Iowa City. Now moving forward with your Reliabank headlines of the day, Caitlin Clark can claim another record that she was part of the most watched women's college basketball game in history, and I'll go ahead and insert this. For now, I think this gets broken in due time coming up on Friday. Iowa's win over LSU in the Elite Eight was the most watched game in women's basketball history, averaged 12.3 million viewers on ESPN. According to Nielsen, Clark scored 41. Hawkeyes are moving on. They got Paige Beckers in UConn. I think 12.3 million is going to turn into 12.5, maybe 13 million viewers moving forward for Caitlin Clark and the Hawkeyes, reaching new heights each and every day, each and every week. All the best moving forward to women's basketball. 12.3 million viewers on Monday night. Imagine what they'll get on a Friday night, by the way. Everyone's able to watch it. Nobody's out working late. You can go ahead and soak it up, both of those games. And again, by the way, that schedule for women's basketball: NC State, South Carolina, 6 o'clock on ESPN. UConn and Iowa, projected start of 8 o'clock, also on ESPN. Can't wait for those matchups. Men's Final Four, NC State, Purdue, 5 o'clock on Saturday. Alabama, UConn, 7:45 Saturday night. Now moving forward into some baseball talk, the Seattle Mariners are signing 2015 AL Cy Young Award winner Dallas Keuchel to a minor league contract. The lefty will report to AAA Tacoma by the weekend. Pitched in 10 games last season for the Twins, starting in 6, and he went 2-1 with a 5.97 ERA. Before the Twins, he played for the Rangers, Diamondbacks, White Sox, and Atlanta Braves. 36-year-old back in the league on a minor league deal within the Seattle Mariners organization, again reporting to AAA Tacoma by the weekend. Texas Rangers third baseman Josh Young was scheduled for surgery today on his broken right wrist and will miss about 6 weeks, according to manager Chris Young. Young was hurt when he was hit by a pitch from Tampa Bay reliever Phil Maton on a swinging strike in the ninth inning of the Rangers' win on Monday night, was placed on the 10-day IL, and infielder Justin Foscue was recalled from AAA Round Rock on Tuesday, and now Josh Young officially out for 6 weeks. About 6 weeks is the quote in the article available at ESPN.com. Let's finish it up quickly here. Northwestern's motion to dismiss the $130 million wrongful termination lawsuit by former head coach Pat Fitzgerald was denied yesterday, setting up a potential trial in April of next year. Cook County Circuit Judge Daniel Kubasiak ruled that the case from Fitzgerald can proceed and set a trial date for April 7th of next year. Northwestern fired Fitzgerald in July of last year, just 3 days after imposing a 2-week unpaid suspension for the coach following the conclusion of an investigation into hazing claims within the football program. That's definitely a candidate for the good, the bad, the ugly. Wanted to get it to you now, though, on the program. Coming up next, identity crisis first, latest from the NFL and the NFL draft preview for the Carolina Panthers and the Kansas City Chiefs. That's next on Overtime. Don't go anywhere. Back after this.
Overtime is in the middle of your workday. Unwrap your sandwich and get caught up with Bert Rameen on ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
Right back with you. It's an early edition of Overtime. We're just about ready to say so long as Minnesota Twins baseball pregame coverage begins in about 10 minutes right here on your Sioux Falls sports leader. Minnesota Twins baseball all year long right here on ESPN 102.3 AM 1000 KSOO. It's that time for the identity crisis. I gave you folks that tuned in early at 10 a.m. a little bit of a boost, a courtesy clue off the jump. But it's now time for the identity crisis. You can win an original Pancake House gift card each and every week here on Wednesday on the show. Opportunity to experience the best breakfast in all of the 605 with OPH. Let's do it, though. It's time for the identity crisis, brought to you by the original Pancake House.
What do you know about Ray Finkel?
Soccer-style kicker, graduated from Collier High, June 1976. Stetson University honors graduate, class of 1980. Holds 2 NCAA Division I records, one for most points in a season, one for distance. Former nicknamed the Mule, the first and only pro athlete ever to come out of Collier County, and one hell of a model American.
Well, this is exhausting. Let's see if you can tell us the sports figure we're talking about in today's identity crisis on Overtime.
Get your phones ready. 605-362-3776, the number to call. Again, 605-362-3776. Today's identity crisis always brought to you by the original Pancake House. For the very best in breakfast, visit OPH in Sioux Falls at the corner of Kiwanis and 41st. Here you go. Here are your clues. Former NFL running back, clue number 1. Clue number 2, wore number 26 for his entire career. Clue number 3, went to the University of Mississippi, better known as Ole Miss. Clue number 4, played from 2001 to 2008. And your fifth and final clue today, already got a caller on the line that thinks they know it. Fifth and final clue, played his entire career with the New Orleans Saints. You're on line number 1. You're my first caller. What's your guess today? Hello, are you there? Can you hear me? All right, you're getting hung up on. Now give us a call, 605-362-3776, 605-362-3776. Running back, number 26, went to Mississippi, played from 2001 to 2008, and played his entire career with the New Orleans Saints. Now, caller number 1, I don't know if it's the same person. If it is, welcome back. If it's not, you're on with Overtime. What's your name? Nick, what's today's correct answer, Nick?
Deuce McAllister.
Deuce McAllister is correct. Maybe it wasn't as hard as I thought. Nick's getting hooked up with an OPH gift card. Nick, I tell you what, I'm going to have you hang on hold till the end of the show. I'll get the rest of your info. But Deuce McAllister, today's correct answer. The reason I thought it was hard, because the New Orleans Saints have had a lot of big-name running backs come through. Ricky Williams rings a bell. Deuce McAllister, Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara, other guys through there as well. Get a load of this, though. Deuce McAllister is the second all-time leader in Saints history in rushing yards with just 6,096 for his career. On that list, he trails Mark Ingram. He's just about 200 yards ahead of Alvin Kamara, so more than likely that'll get broken soon. But Deuce McAllister, one of, if not the best running back in Saints history as far as longevity goes. Ingram might take that baton, but Deuce, a pretty fun back in the day, early to mid 2000s, 2001 to 2008. Congratulations to Nick for getting that correct. We're down to the last couple of minutes here on the program. We got some news from the NFL, not concerning Stephon Diggs. If you missed that, Stephon Diggs now a Houston Texan. Compensation, I retweeted it on Twitter at ESPN Sioux Falls. Move for the Chiefs today, and I think this says a lot about their visit with running back J.K. Dobbins yesterday. The Chiefs have agreed to re-sign running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire to a one-year deal. Edwards-Helaire's return gives the Chiefs some depth at the position behind incumbent starter Isaiah Pacheco, and comes on the same day that the team hosted free agent running back J.K. Dobbins. Clyde Edwards-Helaire hasn't lived up to the promise that the Chiefs saw in him when they drafted him in the very late stages of the first round back in 2020. Now is a primary backup, pass catcher, does some dirty work on the team as well. Clyde Edwards-Helaire back with the Chiefs on a one-year deal, and I would think that means that the Chiefs are not going to sign J.K. Dobbins, at least right now. But again, wouldn't surprise me if they did. That would be a decent pickup depth-wise behind Isaiah Pacheco. Now quickly, final minute plus of the show, NFL draft previews. For a team without a first-round pick, the Carolina Panthers have 7 picks in this year's draft. They picked 33rd, 39th in the second round, 1 pick in the third round, 65th overall, 1 in the fourth, 2 in the fifth, and 1 in the seventh. Biggest needs for the Panthers that were the worst team in the NFL last year: wide receiver, tight end, cornerback, edge rusher after they shipped off Brian Burns to the Giants, and defensive tackle. What fits do they have? Wide receiver, the guys that are at the top around number 2. Ladd McConkey of Georgia, Johnny Wilson of Florida State, maybe Keon Coleman of Florida State could be a fit. Edge rusher, they're in a good spot in round number 2. Adisa Isaac, Chop Robinson, and other fallers at that edge rusher position. But the pick that makes too much sense in the second round for the Carolina Panthers is to get a guy whose dad played for the Panthers for a long time. Chris Jenkins Jr. of Michigan, interior defensive lineman, would be a great fit and a familial fit with the Carolina Panthers. Quickly here on the Chiefs, they've got 6 total picks in this year's draft, 1 in the first, second, third, fourth, and 2 in the fifth. Wide receiver help is a huge need of Kansas City. Also need help at offensive line, cornerback, running back, and interior offensive lineman. Wide receiver help, they're in that range for Jalen McMillan, Jalen Polk of Washington. Tackles, any of those big 8 tackles that might fall in their lap could make sense. And cornerback could be Wiggins of Clemson, Cooper DeJean, Kool-Aid McKinstry of Bama. Those are the latest draft previews. Chiefs and Panthers, we got to say so long. Twins baseball next, right here on ESPN Sioux Falls.